One single night, and the system analysts once called near impenetrable was pushed to its absolute limit. What if a single projectile could split apart mid-air and instantly multiply into dozens of simultaneous threats, each one demanding a separate response from the most advanced defense architecture ever built? Since late February, over 500 aerial vehicles and hundreds of ballistic projectiles have been launched in one of the most intense standoffs the modern Middle East has ever seen. And Israel's interceptor stockpile is reportedly under strain, though the Israeli government strongly denies that claim. Today on GeoInsight, we break it all down. The technology, the strategy, the global stakes. Stay with me.
Picture this. Nighttime over central Israel. City lights glowing. Then, the sirens begin. And this time, something is different. An incoming projectile does not simply arrive. It breaks apart mid-air. Dozens of smaller units scatter, each falling toward a different part of the city below. One target just became many, and the entire logic of modern aerial defense was suddenly put to the test. Today we are covering 4 areas: the science behind cluster-type projectile systems, Iran's missile development program, Israel's layered defense architecture and its real limits, and finally, the global ripple effects on energy, diplomacy, and what comes next. This is GeoInsight. Let us get into it. To understand this entire story, you first need to understand one piece of technology and why it changes everything. A standard ballistic projectile launches, rises, and arrives as a single unit. One target, one interception event. Manageable. A cluster-type projectile is completely different. It launches the same way, it rises the same way, but at a predetermined altitude. Before it ever reaches the ground, its casing separates. From inside, dozens of smaller submunitions release simultaneously. They scatter outward, each following its own descent path toward a different point below. Here is the simplest way to picture it. Someone throws one ball at you. You catch it easily. Now that one ball splits into 40 balls mid-air, all flying in different directions, your 2 hands are suddenly useless. You need 40 sets of hands, all in the right position, at the exact right moment. That is the problem this technology creates. Instead of one interception event, a defense system must now simultaneously track, calculate, and respond to dozens of individual targets, all within seconds, while managing other incoming objects at the same time. Israeli security analysts, cited in publicly available reports, estimate that approximately half of the projectiles launched in these recent rounds carried this type of dispersal mechanism. That is not one complex challenge. That is hundreds of simultaneous ones. This leads us to what defense analysts call saturation strategy. The concept is straightforward. Every defense system has a ceiling, a maximum number of simultaneous interceptions it can handle. A large, complex, sustained volley of incoming objects can approach that ceiling. The goal is not just volume, it is to overwhelm the system's decision-making capacity. Force it to prioritize, create gaps. This is based entirely on publicly available defense research and is presented here for educational understanding only. The cluster-type mechanism adds a layer of complexity that is specifically engineered to stress even the most sophisticated layered defense networks. And that brings us to the program behind these systems. Due at 3 minutes. Iran's missile program did not appear overnight. It is the product of decades of sustained investment and deliberate development. Independent research institutions, including the Arms Control Association and the International Institute for Strategic Studies, consistently describe Iran's projectile arsenal as the largest and most diverse in the entire Middle East. In a region that includes some of the world's most heavily armed states, that is a significant assessment. Iran's systems are organized by range. At the shorter end, the Fata 110 and Fate 313 operate at ranges of 200 to 500 kilometers, with the Fate 313 noted specifically for improved guidance precision compared to earlier systems. Moving up, the Qiyam-1 and Zulfikar operate at ranges of 700 to 800 kilometers, well within reach of targets across the broader region. At the longer end, the Khorramshahr and Sejil are medium-range ballistic systems capable of reaching targets up to approximately 20 kilometers. The Sejil is a solid fuel system, which is strategically significant. Solid fuel requires far less preparation time before launch, compressing response windows for any opposing force. In the cruise missile category, the Somar, assessed as operationally active, carries an estimated range of 20 to 30 kilometers. One important clarification that analysts consistently emphasize: Iran has not yet developed systems capable of intercontinental range. However, it continues advancing longer-range technologies through its space launch vehicle program. Beyond its own use of these systems, Iran also functions as a regional supplier. Defense Research Documentation notes that Iran has provided projectile and aerial systems to partner groups in Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen, and the Palestinian territories. More recently, transfers of unmanned aerial systems to Russia, specifically the Shahed 131 and Shahed 136, have been confirmed in publicly available reports. This supplier role extends the program's strategic reach far beyond any single bilateral standoff, and it is one reason why analysts watch Iran's continued development so closely. The program has evolved over decades in precision, range, and increasingly in characteristics specifically designed to challenge the type of layered defense architecture that Israel has built. Which brings us to those defense systems. For years, Israel's aerial defense network has been described in almost singular terms: layered, advanced, and proven in real-world conditions more than almost any comparable system on Earth. But every system has a ceiling. And recent events have raised serious questions about what happens when that ceiling is genuinely tested. Israel's architecture has three primary layers. Iron Dome is the most widely recognized. Designed for the lower threat range, unguided rockets and short-range projectiles, it uses radar to detect incoming objects, calculate trajectories, and launch interceptors only at objects assessed as genuine threats to populated areas. Its selective targeting approach is central to its operational efficiency, but it faces acknowledged limitations when confronting large volumes of simultaneous, complex incoming objects. David's Sling sits in the middle layer, designed for medium-range ballistic projectiles and cruise-type systems, faster and more complex threats than Iron Dome handles. It covers a different altitude and range envelope, and the two systems are intended to complement each other's gaps. Arrow, specifically Arrow 2 and Arrow 3, is the highest and most advanced layer. Arrow 3 is designed for exo-atmospheric interception, engaging incoming ballistic objects above the atmosphere before they re-enter. This is one of the most technically advanced interception capabilities deployed anywhere in the world. Together, these three layers form a defense architecture with overlapping coverage across the full threat spectrum. Now, here is what has made this standoff analytically significant. Reports indicated that during recent rounds, some incoming objects did get through the interception network. Structural damage to residential buildings was reported in urban areas. Israeli emergency services confirmed dispatching responders, though initial accounts noted no severe injuries. Reports also emerged and were disputed, suggesting pressure on Israel's interceptor inventory Given the sustained pace of the standoff, the Israeli government has publicly and firmly denied those assessments, and this connects directly back to saturation strategy. The sustained high-volume, high-complexity nature of the volleys, combined with dispersal mechanisms that multiply one object into many targets, places cumulative stress on any defense system's resources in ways that isolated engagement simply cannot replicate. What is being tested here is not just one nation's technology. It is a set of principles about layered defense and saturation limits that will shape defense thinking globally for years ahead. Three things to take from today's video. First, the cluster-type projectile is a genuine, significant challenge for even the world's most advanced defense systems. One becomes many, and that fundamentally stresses the logic that layered defense is built upon. Second, Iran's missile program is among the most developed in the region, built over decades, continuously evolving, extending its reach through both direct deployment and regional supply. Understanding it is essential to understanding the broader geopolitical picture. Third, this is not just a regional story. Energy routes, global markets, diplomatic alliances, nuclear questions, all of it runs directly through what is happening right now. The consequences extend far beyond any single border, which leaves us with the question that ultimately matters most. As technology on both sides continues to advance, interception systems growing more capable, and the methods designed to challenge them growing more complex, the real question is not who has the better system. The real question is whether diplomacy can move faster than the next launch. That is worth thinking about. If this video gave you a clearer picture, hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to GeoInsight for more clear, balanced coverage of the forces shaping our world. This has been GeoInsight. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.